Hello, welcome to Code for Teachers. I'm Michael Taggart, and this is Chapter 2, Section 1, The Power of Iteration. So we're going to begin our exploration of a new kind of control flow, and that's iteration or loops. So these are in addition to conditional statements, the if, elif, and else structures that we saw in the last chapter. Loops or iteration allow us to control the flow of a program by keeping the code repeating a certain set of instructions that are inside the iteration a prescribed number of times. We usually call iteration loops because they run the set of instructions in order and then loop back to the beginning of that set of instructions as many times as we have prescribed. So loops repeat a given set of instructions. And we can either do that for a prescribed number of repetitions, say do this 10 times, or we can do that until a condition is no longer satisfied. Notice that we use the word condition there, so we have a test, just like conditional statements have a test, that evaluates to true or false. And when that statement evaluates to false, the loop will stop. And there's a reason why we have both. We'll get into the decision tree of how to decide which loop to use when. Why are loops useful, though? What's helpful about doing this? If you're writing, some of this demo code that we've been doing, and even if you're doing some of the problems that students will come up against, it may be the case that it won't seem like writing a loop or learning a loop is useful. And from a teaching perspective, it's been my experience that students will rather copy and paste the same instruction several times rather than attempt to use a loop structure. The problem is this is really dangerous practice, especially when we start using our computer science skills for real scale problems. A lot of computational work is repetitive, but it's repetitive over large sets of data. So you can imagine doing something for 1,000,000 times and why you don't want to copy and paste an instruction 1,000,000 times. Or in the case where we don't know how many times we need to repeat something, you'd always have to check in between your copy and pasting if you need to keep going to the next line. So that's really problematic, and we want to emphasize the power and efficiency of loops. It gets us toward one of our important rules as programmers, the DRI rule. And that means don't repeat yourself. Programmers are lazy. I always tell my students that programmers are lazy, and not lazy in a bad way, but that we want to write code in the most efficient, elegant manner possible. So the fewest readable statements. And what that means is that we want to use loops rather than a bunch of copy pasta to get us where we need to go. All right, that's it for our introduction to loops. In the next video, we'll begin with the while loop. I'm Michael Taggart. Thanks for watching.